A very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on today's live broadcast. I'm here to give us the details on what it is that's been happening in our country over the last couple of hours. Well, we have the Senate that has barred journalists and media personnel from actually covering proceedings of the 10th Assembly. Now, the reason why they did this, we don't particularly know, but it is just really sad because it is a form of media clampdown, and it is something that should not be found in a democracy, saying that we claim to operate a democracy. If this was a military regime, we would understand where it is coming from because there will be no freedom of speech. But we claim that there is freedom of speech, and so the fact that they are coming to bar the media personnel from taking proceedings or taking videos of these proceedings just shows that something that is really happening in our 10th Assembly. The Senate has barred no fewer than 10 television stations in the country from covering its proceedings at the newly renovated chamber. By this new directive, only 7 television stations are allowed into the gallery to cover legislative activities. A sergeant at arms operative stationed at the chamber's entrance told journalists on Tuesday that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, instructed the security units to prune down the number of media organizations. This followed a circular signed by the Senate clerk in the person of Chinedu Akubweze, and it was pasted at the entrance of the newly renovated chamber. And I think it's really interesting because these 7 media houses that are allowed are probably going to be chosen based on favoritism or based on the people who they know are going to hide their tracks, because usually every TV station and every media outlet is allowed to get into the Red Assembly to actually take proceedings and report to us, the outsiders, on the people on the other side, on what is going on, what our legislators are legislating, the kind of laws they are passing, the conversations they are having, because it is necessary that we as a people know that. So it is just interesting to see that they are cutting it down, and slowly but steadily it's going to probably come to a very, very little number, and one day we'll hear that, the totality of the Red Assembly's processions are being done behind closed doors, and it's something that is not going to be very nice for the democracy of our country. The accredited media are the Nigerian Television Authority, Channels, African Independent Television, Television Continental, Arise News, New Age, and ADBN. Journalists who covered the National Assembly were shocked that the decision was taken despite ongoing dialogue. Last Wednesday, the press corps met with the clerk to discuss the coverage of the Senate proceedings, and it is just very, very interesting. I mean, the last couple of days we saw that a lot of journalists have been being withheld or witch hunted per se. Some of them have been kidnapped, some of them things that are not called for. That is just showing that there's an intention by this government to clamp down on freedom of speech. It is just very, very sad, and I oppose vehemently, because it is necessary that we have freedom of speech. This is a democracy, and a lot of people have reacted to this news because it's very worrisome. The fact that we don't have people, or people are not allowed to go and cover these processions, is just particularly sad. This is from Oseni Rufai of Arise. He said Senate President Godswill Akpabio on Tuesday barred more than 10 television stations and photojournalists from covering the proceedings of the chamber without explanation, in another sign of under President Bola Tinubu, whose administration has harassed and detained without trial at least 2 journalists in the past 7 weeks alone. Well, this is really, really sad. This is another person reacting to this, and the person says, with the username Precious, the person says, it's obvious we are in a military regime. The only difference is the uniform. They'll just wake up and impose unnecessary tax, increase fuel price on citizens, and nobody will challenge them, not one person, because they know our cry will end up on social media. Nigerians, wake up. Well, very, very sad indeed, to be honest, because the hallmark of a democracy, one of them is the rule of law, and another of them is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the right to critique government policies when they are not being favorable to the masses. And the fact that this Tinubu-led administration is slowly but steadily clamping down on freedom of speech, it is worrisome, and I think we should be talking more about it in very open spaces, because it is just only a matter of time. They were trying to regulate social media the other day, and even though the same social media is the social media they used to propagate their lies and propagate the propaganda, right? It is just really, really, really sad, and we need to talk about it, because if we don't do anything or particularly raise an eyebrow about this, we'll wake up one day and hear that Senator Godswill Akpabio has decided that they're going to be holding their processions behind closed doors and nobody is going to be, aware of what it is they're talking about. It is necessary for Nigerians to be abreast with their proceedings because we need to know the laws that they are signing. I mean, the new cyber tax law that they are implementing is already causing a lot of drama all over the country, and it's really, really sad. And so for us to just sit down here and act like it is not worrisome that the media is being clamped down. Journalists have been detained over the last couple of weeks without explanation. Some of them are being kidnapped without, abducted and asked for very insane amounts of ransom. And I just think this Chief Tinubu's led administration needs to actually step up the security, not just for the common Nigerian, but also for the people who are feeding us with the information that we need to know. It's either they have something to hide, and that is the reason why they are doing everything possible to clamp down on the media and the media spaces. Well, moving on from that, Microsoft is set to actually close operations in Nigerians following the inflation that is in the country and the bad market policies. His Excellency Peter Obi has reacted to this, and 200 jobs are at risk as Microsoft has shut down their operations in Nigeria, particularly Lagos. Well, he took to his X handle to talk about this, and this is what he had to say. He said, the recent announcement of Microsoft Nigeria to its workers about shutting down its innovation center in Lagos and cutting about 200 jobs is deeply troubling. It underscores the urgent need for a comprehensive economic reforms in Nigeria. This further highlights the challenges and broader issues plaguing the Nigerian economy. The closure of Microsoft's Innovation Center represents another significant setback for Nigeria's aspiration to become a hub for technology and innovation in Africa. It also raises serious concerns about our business environments for investors, and this has become a stark reminder of the obstacles faced by both local and international businesses operating in Nigeria, including regulatory hurdles and an uncertain business environment. The loss of 200 direct jobs and several other indirect jobs is not just numbers and statistics, but represents the livelihoods and aspirations of individuals and families who now face uncertainty and financial hardship. It is a blow to the efforts to create employment opportunities and drive economic growth in Nigeria, particularly the critical technology sector, which holds immense potential for innovation and job creation. We must take decisive actions to address the root causes of this decline in investor confidence and create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. We must prioritize policies that promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation, while also ensuring transparency, accountability, and good governance. Additionally, we must invest in education and skills development to equip our workforce with the necessary tools and knowledge that will unlock the full potential of our nation and position us to compete in the global economy. A new Nigeria is indeed possible. Signed, P.O. Well, this is coming from His Excellency P.O. And I just have something particularly to pinpoint. The fact that Nigeria does not have a good enabling environment for businesses to thrive, both personal businesses and foreign businesses. It is just with the introduction of new outrageous taxes, policies that are anti-people and anti-business and anti-entrepreneurship. We need to understand that as a people, we are failing in the global market to attract investors. The other day, I asked them out to say, you know what, we have nothing to do with this acclaimed $600 million, deal that they claimed to have with us. And it is just a lot. Binance has left the country. It is just not looking like a very good place for investors to come and invest their money. And it is sad because technology is something that is, further advancing, and we need, as a growing economy, to tap into this technological market because it has the power to give us a lot of revenue. And the fact that this Tinubu-led administration is not doing a lot to make sure we have friendly business ecosystem for foreign investors to come in is just really sad. So I share in His Excellency Peter Obi's worry because 200 jobs are about to be lost, right, or are already lost because they've closed operations, not that they are planning to close operations. Currently, Microsoft operations are closed especially in Lagos, Nigeria. And these are people's source of income, source of livelihood. People depend on these people to actually feed their families. And with the current economic and financial situation in the country, the loss of job is not something that is welcome. We talked about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road that is already ridding people of their lifelong investments. And so the fact that we are having this happen is a very big blow to employment generally, because Nigeria as a country doesn't even have a good employment rate. And so to still lose jobs from the people, from the ones that we are managing, is particularly sad. But still, on His Excellency P2B, he actually had a lot to say concerning taxation and answering to the new cyber security tax levy that is being imposed on Nigerians. He had a lot to say about taxing people only when you've put into them. Let's take a listen to what exactly he had to say.
And robust your economy, the more you can earn from tax. You cannot tax unemployed people. If I cannot go to your village and tax people who are unemployed, you have 98 million people living under poverty before the COVID situation. Now you're going to have over 100 living under poverty. You're not going to tax them. If you want, it taxes like a bank account. If you want to withdraw more, you put in more. So if the government has done the right things, the more people you pull out of poverty, the more you can get out of tax. It's a simple thing. It's not a rocket science.
You know, what's really interesting about this video is the fact that it's not even a recent video, but His Excellency P2B is a leader that has foresight, because way back he actually said this before, as if he foresaw that there was going to be a plan of this new government to actually tax individuals unnecessarily and without reason, right? And so you can't tax a group of people that are unemployed and tax people that you did not put anything into. If you're trying to increase tax, maybe you should increase the amount of things that works in the country, right? And so if you're taxing them, we know you're taxing them for the things that you've put into them, but it's really a situation where you're trying to reap where you did not sow. It is just pure extortion right now at this point. That is what this government is doing. Every day they come up with new bills, electricity tariff, they remove fuel subsidy, remove electricity subsidy, remove education subsidy, and keep charging and charging without giving. I mean, for this group of people you keep collecting from, what are you putting into their life? And it's really sad. Even in Lagos, we also see from Sanwo-Olu, where he's actually, like his boss, actually withdrawing and taking money from people, charging them at least 14 naira per trip because it's development fund. And this is just, it's really funny. This is coming from Brother Bernard. He says Pontius Pilate, aka Sanwo-Olu, has been tearing tickets for everybody booking Uber and other rides in Lagos. He charges every single soul at least 14 naira per trip and calls it development fund. Well, it is really, really interesting because booking fee 14 naira, rounding 14 naira, development fund 14 naira, and we can't even tell what it is you're developing. Because if you're collecting development fund, we expect to see some form of development. But it is just funny because it is just constant extortion by this administration, and they keep extorting without putting into Nigerians, and that has to stop. Because it is not right that you don't put into people or pour into people, but you want to take from them. It's pure extortion, and we condemn it here at Obidient Family TV in all its entirety. Well, before I leave the studio, it's important that I actually bring forth the Obidient Family Cooperative society, the fact that it is gathering momentum in different local governments across Nigeria, and it is an alarm that we keep sounding because we want every well-meaning Nigerian and Obidient to be part of this epoch-making event. And so, to rid us of the long time, if you are trying to be a part of this, the link to join the WhatsApp platform is going to be in the description box of this video or on the comment section. So please follow the link and join the WhatsApp platform, have conversations with well-meaning Nigerians, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before I leave, I'd like to leave us with this video of a very young man who is actually talking about the real problems of Nigeria. And I actually took my time to listen to this, and he's actually making sense. And I think that Nigerians need to pay attention to what he's saying. He talked about the greed that permeates the air where we live in. The fact that a lot of people are actually just living with this intention to outsmart everybody. Everybody's trying to live with, you know, this advantage over the next person. And it goes beyond our political class, even as, you know, citizens in our Jerusalem, in the little places we find Everybody's trying to have an edge, an unrightful edge over the other person, and because of that, it has bred an atmosphere for greed to actually grow. And this greed is what has grown into the monsters we face right now. That is why our political class is actually ruling Nigeria the way it is. He made a lot of salient points in this lengthy video, and I'm just going to leave us for this video so we can listen to him and make our comments known in the comment section. Before I leave, please once again don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this platform, because that's the way you can amplify our voice at the Obidient Family TV. Till I come your way next time, bye for now, and let's take a listen to what he said.
The real problem, you hear people talk about a lot of things. People say politicians, the very common one is politicians against the people. That's because of the level of ignorance that many of us have. The real problem of Nigeria is not politicians. It's not politicians against the people. No. We are all the same people. Politicians, commoners, all of that are all the same people. We're all trapped in the same, whether I say paradigm, whether I say rat race, I don't know what to call it. We're all in the same mess. And what you're seeing politicians do is the same thing you see in civil service. It's the same thing you see in the business world. It's the same thing you see in the corporate world. It's the same thing you see among individuals, even in families, among that common people selling in the market, your neighbors, your own brothers and sisters. The system is the real enemy here. The system is the real problem. The system we've inherited, this system that we have refused to address, has made or turned all of us into monsters. The system is the issue. Politicians that you blame today are just people who are taking advantage of the system, and by no means justifying their acts. Yes, but you must also understand that it's human nature. These are things that are common. Even in the Western world, the most civilized places in the world, people would take advantage of any loophole they find. That's human nature for you. So if you understand that, you'll be at peace. You know how to deal with people. It's very important that people be good, people be noble, people be credible and all of that. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not what we have. The politician you're blaming today is the same person, or the acts that politicians are carrying out today that you are not happy about. It's the same thing that your girlfriend does, who doesn't love you, who has stuck with you because of your money. They're all the same thing. It's the same thing that man who is not ready to get married to you, knows he's not in love with you, he knows he's not going to marry you, he just leads you along and wastes all your years, then at the end of the day dumps you. It's the same thing. It's the same thing where lawyers will come and say, okay, you want to buy a land of millions of naira. He looks for how to, get the lion's share. Everybody wants to take advantage of the system. So, as we continue to look onto politicians as the problem, we will not see, or we will continue to be blind to what the real issue is. Politicians, leaders cannot fix the problem. They can't. They will continue to take advantage of the system. And because we are too accustomed to shifting blames, we're not prepared to take responsibilities. We look onto others. By the end of the day, we get nowhere with that. It leads us to nowhere. The truth is that politicians are not the problems. They are just a product of the system. We need to understand that so that we can shift our attention from them to the real problem and those who can fix it. Like I said, I'm not justifying any politician. I'm not in support of them. I don't support any politician. I have no business with them. But I'm trying to point out to you the real deal so you understand it. So that we stop wasting our time, wasting our lives on the wrong things. For example, we as a people are the real problem. Not example now, sorry. We are the real problem. Why do I say so? Now, let me give you an instance. In a situation of trying to run our lives, run our country, we have used trust instead of accountability to deal with people who will entrust national responsibilities to. It's not done anywhere. We expect our leaders to be trustworthy. How can you expect people to be trustworthy in a matter of your life? You can't blame the devil for being the devil. You cannot. You can only blame yourself for going to have dealings with the devil. Yeah, politicians are devil, yeah, because of the lack of conscience in the way they do their things with our national issues. But whose fault is it? The decency you see in the Western world today, in the most civilized places today in the world, is because of how much monitoring, how much implementations of laws, how much sustenance of a system that keeps everybody in check. That's why people are decent everywhere. It's not that people in the UK, people in the US, people in Japan or Singapore are more organized than us. No, they have something that keeps them in check. We don't. What we have that keeps us in check is, we hope. We're hoping that the devil will become an angel someday. We trust. These are the wrong things to use as tools in driving your life. If you do not, most of us live like that. It's a problem. At the end of the day, we begin to cry foul. Oh, it's wicked. Oh, it's this, it's that. Because we don't take time to do a lot of things. You can see that in another example where you see somebody who is living abroad for a long time. He just keeps sending money home for people to build structures for him, to erect something, to start a business, to build a house for him. At the end of the day, he discovers that when he gets home to his country, there's no building. He has spent millions for nothing. I'm trying to paint the picture for you so you understand where the problem is. And when he gets home, he discovers that he has wasted all his life saving and everything. That's our problem. That's who we are. We, the people, are part of the problem. Our method is part of the problem. We're not thinking deep enough. Like the man who invests or put all his money in someone else, hoping that that person would, out of the sheer goodwill that he has, will do me justice, or we deliver, we build that house for me. Trust. When you should do your findings, when you should do your research, when you should hold the person accountable, when you should have other countermeasures to checkmate, to ensure that the work is being done. You didn't do any of that. It's my brother, it's my cousin, it's my this. You trust all your millions to the person, your life to the person, and at the end of the day, to whom much is given, according to some comedians, they say, to whom much is given, don't run. To whom much is given, don't run. Carry your money, run. So, we are so carefree as a people. We are irresponsible as a people. We are waiting for other people to do our job for us, to do our biddings for us. We want to relax and we want to relax and have everything fine in life. We're not prepared for life. We're not prepared for this thing. We're just hanging in there and hoping. We're hopeful people. That's why we continue to pursue religion, even when we are not seeing the light in it. We don't evaluate, we don't question, we don't do all of that. At the end of the day, we'll blame A, blame B, blame C. And you know what? We'll remember where we are. It's not going to change. So we need to shift our attention from politicians. These guys are not capable of fixing the problem. They are not the problem. Don't let anybody deceive you. I just want to start changing some of these narratives, because true change comes as a result of awareness. The man has to be awake. People have to know what the truth is and redirect their lives. Otherwise, we'll keep going down and down and nobody cares. The same issue is also happening to us. We discover that we always want to appeal or want to speak to the sympathy of others to come to our aid. It doesn't work like that. You see Africans saying we have to love ourselves as Africans to work together. Love does not work in the place of diplomacy. Love doesn't work. Africans hate themselves. That's not true, because it is not. We need to understand these things. It's not the way it works. The Caucasians don't love themselves. If they do, Ukraine and Russia won't be fighting today. Russia and the United States won't be hitting each other. France and UK won't be hitting each other as we see today. So there's no love anywhere in the place of diplomacy. Love only exists between you and your family. Okay? People in the Southeast are crying, they are killing us. They expect that, they hope that, those in the West will somehow, something will touch their heart. No, you have to enforce things. You have to know how to enforce things. What am I trying to say tonight? What I'm trying to make you understand that here is that the problem is the system that all of us are caught up in. As individuals, as government bodies, as whatsoever, we're all caught up in it. The politicians cannot fix it. The politicians are not a problem. The politicians are not different from the ordinary Nigerians. It's the same thing. Some people will say, it's their turn. Yeah, the Emilio situation that Tinubu has is in the grassroots. It's not just about Tinubu. I heard that for many years in my life, among many people. This is that one day go reach my turn. One day my person will enter. It's a very natural something. So Emilio, let's not attribute it to Tinubu. It's a Nigerian thing. The Nigerian thing is, and that's why they said from the citizenry comes our leaders. So we are all the same. If you say politicians are the problem, you are the problem. I am the problem. You're pointing fingers to A and B. They're also pointing fingers to you. Who can solve this problem? It is you and I. The ordinary people. It is in your hands, it is in my hands, that the power to change our lives lies in. Not some set of individuals who are less than 5,000 or less than 10,000 who are politicians. They are less than that in number. It is your call and my call. When apartheid was going on in South Africa, they had people, black people, who were also part of the government, of the apartheid government. Did anything change? Until South Africans rose up, nothing changed. In what's it called? In United States of America during the emancipation, led by Martin Luther King Jr., there were black people also in government who were working for the people. During the slave trade, there were also slaves, who were part of the system, helping to capture other slaves. When you cannot change the system, according to many people, they join them, even though they have a different philosophy. If you cannot change them, leave them. But the general public philosophy is, if you cannot change them, you join them. And that's what politicians are doing. That's what many people are doing. That's what I want to let us know tonight. It's our call. It's our responsibility. we need to rise and do the needful. We need to remove our eyes from our brothers and sisters and look at what the real problem is. And that's why I tell people, the foundation problem you have is not the people in your village. It's not that old woman in your village. It is the system. The system is the greatest foundation power holding you. Because a lot of Christians, back in the day while we were among them, that's the narrative. You're fasting and praying for the wrong thing. And nothing is changing. We're not seeing it. Our eyes are still closed. We're doing one thing over again and expecting a different result. They say it's insanity, So please, we need to understand that. Many people still don't get it. Many of our top leaders still don't get it. That's why they go into elections. They keep on campaigning, keep on telling you this and that. Our leaders are not a problem. They are a product of the problem. Like I have always said to people that bad governance, corruption is not a problem of Nigeria. Those things are just symptoms of the problem. Division is our problem. We are divided. And we can fix the country in a way whereby even in our division we can work together. By restructuring and having everybody govern themselves and teaming up. That's the best way. It will solve a lot of things for us. I've also told you that you cannot hold leaders accountable in Nigeria because of religion and ethnicity. And we are seeing it today. The people of a certain tribe can only hold their own leader accountable. For example, the Yorubas are not going to let the Igbos or the Hausas rubbish Tinubu because tribe is in place. It's only Yorubas that can address Tinubu. So it applies to North, so it applies to East, and that is it. But when you restructure, Tinubu can only govern the Yoruba. He can't govern Nigeria. So they will tear him apart if he is misbehaving. I don't know if I'm making sense. There's a lot of things to say. The system is the problem. The system that has been offered to us, that we have inherited. I don't want to go into all of that, but what I want you to understand today is the only people who have the power to address this issue is you and I, the common people. And we'll try as much as possible to enlighten you, to inform you about these things so that you become abreast and awaken. Until we awaken, we cannot solve this problem. What's this man's name? Forgetting his name now. One of the greatest advocates to end slavery in America. He said he could not free some people because in their mind, they didn't see anything wrong with slavery. I'm trying to get his name now. It's a black man. Very prominent. I don't know. I'm just forgetting. Yeah, so that is it. You need to free your mind to understand. The same politicians are complaining of, that's the same set of people we see in churches, in religious organizations, in mosques. The same thing. There's no difference. It's all the same people who are struggling, trying to survive and trying to take advantage of the system. If we continue to look onto those people as the problem, we will never find a solution. We will never. So that's what I want to share with you today. I hope you get that, and let's redirect our mind and stand up. Thank you.